And we're back with another video, and today I'm going to respond to what is now probably the 25th email that I've received from subscribers who are asking for help, who are in trouble, who are upside down in their cars, are stuck in high car payments, and as a result, their credit card debt's increased and their situation is becoming increasingly worse to the point to where they have no idea on how to get out of it. And I liken it to reading a document so close that it's too blurry for you to understand what it's saying, and you can't get that perspective from the outside in to be able to come up with solutions, and you go into financial paralysis, and the things only get worse because then you fall into an avoidance position, and then eventually everything comes to roost. The other thing that concerns me when I'm reading emails like this from so many people is that these people don't have anyone else in their lives to give them the advice that I've been fortunate to have learned myself the hard way, as well as received advice from so many others. But the experience that I've had gives me a unique position to be able to help people find their way through these situations. And I also worry tremendously that the dark place that the human mind can take us sometimes when we feel like there is no way out and we are painted in a corner and that we are going to be shamed publicly and humiliated for the bad decisions that we've made. And that dark place is someplace I don't want any of you to go, because I'll just tell you, it's all temporary and it's all fixable. It's all resolvable. But Brad, my situation's not. You don't understand. I understand. I can tell you, and I'm opening myself up to absolute criticism. Every time I do a video like this where I get beat up in the comments, people say, well, you deserve what you got. You should have known better. And these people who get themselves in these positions with these upside down cars and credit card debt and all kinds of financial peril and everything else, they deserve it. They should have known better. It's pure stupidity. And then others will say, well, they didn't teach this in school and they should have taught this in school. And all this shoulda, coulda, wouldas doesn't change the fact that the person's in the position. And I've also come to a place where well, let me just say this. Prior to, let's say, 2004, I was that guy. I was that guy who would say, people, they make their own beds. They got to sleep in them. They got to deal with it, man. And that's what they get for not being smart with their money. And then all of a sudden, I get a 2x4 across the head in 2007 and 8 and get to find out what it's like to belly up to the tune of over $1 million at, what was I, 36, 37 years old, and find myself in a position of contemplating exiting stage left because there was no way of getting through this. And the proud man that I wasn't sure that I could handle the amount of ridicule that was going to be coming my way, because things like being behind on house payments lead to publicly available information, especially in the business that I'm in. And then just walking through the flames of being sued and potential bankruptcy and all that stuff is a lot for a person, and for sure, in my case, a man who was now responsible for, at that point, a 2-year-old and a wife and a life to handle. And it was overwhelming. And thank goodness I had some really good friends in my life and some mentors that were helping me get through this. But a lot of it I had to figure out, and I did. So when I get these emails, like I got one today, and I figured I would share this one with you today, because if I shared all of them, a lot of them they would just rip your heartstrings out. Now, some of you are going to say, and I'm just got to say this, said, well, they deserve it. Wow, they're stupid. They should have known better. Just let that go. Here's the deal. None of you are perfect. Like, not a single one of you, even you behind the keyboard in your mother's basement, who's going to say, I have an 850 FICO score. I've never been late on anything before. I've got perfect credit. I've got money in the bank, and I'm great. That's cool. Good for you. You're the perfect one. Now exit the video. This video's not for you. This is for all of us flawed human beings who make mistakes, who screw up, who think that we could get through things, and we think we could bite off more than we can chew, and then we find ourselves shocked and surprised when things turn the other direction way faster than we can unravel them. And for that reason, I'm doing this video, and for this guy and everybody else who's in the same position, if I can help you. Let me read this email. Sorry for the small type. Hey OC, I remember an older video you put out quite a while back with vehicle repossessions at a high rate. A lot of younger people getting stuck between living expenses and having cars in negative equity and or car payments being at an all-time highs. I've gotten myself into the situation and being stuck. I would like to see if you can do a video talking about your situation when you went through it and what expertise you could relate or discuss with people to give them some choices, ideas, help, and guidance. I know it's a bit off topic, but could be helpful to some. Thank you and hope to hear back. So I'm going to let them know to watch this video. And I did find this article just recently published that says it's not getting any better. This is just a couple of days ago, October 22nd. A significant group of Americans are falling behind on their car payments, an economic warning sign. Now, here's the deal. For those of you perfect people out there, help me understand how a dramatic increase in interest rates and a dramatic fall in used car values and a ridiculous level of inflation this last 5-6 years is something that we should have all planned for. I mean, I think nobody could have planned for how ridiculous things got. Now, living conservatively, not taking risks, saving every penny you make, driving a Toyota Corolla, all that stuff, that's great. But, fortunately, it's not the American way. And now people are finding out what it's like. Now, I attribute a lot of this to, for sure, you've got the ridiculous prices of cars right now. But the thing is, with new cars being outrageously high, you've got used cars that are low. And they're not going up. And that means that people are going to be upside down. And you had people way overpay this last 3-4 years. And some cases, they paid markups and add-ons, and they got a higher interest rate, and they've taken much longer term loans to be able to afford all these more expensive things, which means this right here was downright inevitable. And it's not everybody's fault, but it's just the reality of the world we're in. And lots of money has been made by car manufacturers and dealerships while people were put in situations where they're never going to be able to unravel. What I want to address first is being upside down in your car. It's pretty much a thing. And I hate to say it, but the vast majority of people out there, especially starting their lives off, are going to make that mistake and buy a car and finance it for too long and put too little down, and then their income's going to fluctuate, and they're going to find themselves in a situation where they want out and they can't get out. And I've shared in another video, which I'll put a link in the description below, on some options. Refinancing options, of course, negotiating with your existing bank options. But for the most part, because of the recourse ability when you repo a car, the bank can come back to you for the negative after the car goes to auction. So if you owe $50,000 on the car and they sell it for $40,000, even though you think, well, screw it, I'm just going to belly up and repo that thing, they're going to come after you for $10,000 plus all the costs for repoing the car, for paying the repo man, interest, late payment fees, and a whole bunch of other costs. And you're going to get a negative equity lawsuit or collection for $15,000 to $17,000 on what was supposed to be a $10,000 negative. So it's way worse. Trying to sell the car yourself is an option. But I got to throw this out there. Generally, if you're in this position, also, well, let me just go back here. Another option is rolling negative into another car. I don't recommend that. Now, I do think that if you can go lease a very cheap car, let's say you're driving a Challenger right now, and your payment's $1,100 a month, and you're $10,000 upside down. If you can dig up $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 in cash to pay the negative and go lease a Toyota Corolla, a Toyota Prius, like I did for $300, and pay $5,000 towards the negative and roll $5,000 in on nothing more than a 3-year lease, then your payment's not going to go up that much. Maybe you're going to, instead of a $300 payment, you're going to be looking at a $500 payment, which is way better than a $1,000 or $1,100 payment. But you're going to have to drive that Corolla. But in 3 years, you will be out from under that car. So 3 years on a lease, you're done. You won't have anything to show for it, but you wouldn't anyways because you're going to be burying this other car or in a repo situation. If you're not behind on payments yet, go and find a way out that way. Get in a 3-year lease and know that in 36 months from today, you will pay that last payment at least, turn that car back in. Even if you're upside down in mileage, make sure the mileage rate per mile is no more than about 15 cents a mile. That way, if you do go over by $10,000, the worst thing that's going to happen to you, 10,000 miles, worst thing that's going to happen to you is a $1,500 expense when you turn it in, which at that point you can release another car. If you had to roll that in, it's not a big deal because it's a small amount, and at least you're keeping yourself within reach of unraveling that debt. But the key is you're going to have to go all the way down to the cheapest car. The logic that's going to happen in your mind, because it's what got you where you're at today, is, well, I'll just go get maybe a nicer car, but not as nice a car. I'll still get a nice car. So instead of going to getting a $30,000 car, I'll get a $40,000 car. And now my payment's going to be $800 a month. No, you need to go all the way. You need to punish yourself for getting yourself in that situation and go take the cheap car. The absolute, you can literally, I've done the math. You can literally go lease a Toyota Prius, like what I have, which is really, frankly, decent car. Go check out my other videos, for about $650 a month. And that's you rolling in $7, $8, $9, maybe even $10,000 into that lease. So you could be really buried, but you can go get a car and cut that payment down by $500, $600, $700 from what you're currently paying. But you're going to be driving a Prius. You're going to be driving a Corolla. It's got to be a new car, but at least it's going to be reliable and your payment's going to be less. That's a way to do it. But Brad, unfortunately, I ran all my credit cards up and I'm in debt up to my eyeballs and I don't have any way out of this thing and I'm not going to qualify for another car. Then I hate to say it, you're in a really unique and difficult position where, depending on a lot of questions that I'm going to ask you, if you hit me up on Instagram messaging, for example, which many people have, I come back and immediately you say, what should I do? I ask, how old are you? Are you married? Do you have kids? What kind of job do you have? I mean, if you're a cop, filing bankruptcy is a problem. You have to disclose that. I mean, there's jobs where ruining your credit can affect your career. Ruining your credit could affect your licensing. There's things that you have to consider. So I'm asking lots and lots of questions. If you're 25 years old and got yourself in trouble, I might just tell you, and let's say it's $30,000, $40,000 in credit card debt and you're $15,000 upside down in your car, I might just tell you, go bankrupt. You're 25. You've got so many years to recover from that. Learn the big lesson. Never get into credit card debt again and never overbuy again. Learn the expensive lesson. Bankruptcy is not the end of the world, but your income has to be less than the median household income to be able to pass the means test. And some of you are going to find that you're not going to qualify for that, which paints you back into a corner where you can't even go bankrupt and you're stuck having to repo that car because you just can't afford the payment anymore. And if you do, and your credit card debt's too big, at a certain point you need to just, and some people are going to hate my advice, but you need to just make the deal with the bank. Come and get the car, or I'll drop it off at your dealer. I'll drop it off wherever you want me to drop it off, and let me know what my negative is. If you can't sell it yourself, and you can't refinance it, and you can't borrow money to get yourself out from underneath it, and you can't buy another car on a lease and roll the negative in that's cheap enough to give you some relief, then you might just have to say, I'm done, and I've got to call it a day, and then turn that thing back in, and they're going to hit you with that negative. And when they do, you've got to negotiate with them. From the start, they're going to start calling you and saying, okay, you owe us $16,000. They're going to mail you tons and tons of letters. All kinds of mail is going to come. You might even get some certified mail, and they might even refer it to an attorney, and they might even try to take you to court. If the amount's less than $10,000, they might just take you to small claims court to try and get the judgment, in which case they can get a garnishment. So you can't go missing in action. You need to get on the phone as soon as possible and start negotiating. And you need to start saving money to be able to put towards that debt. Because in my experience, no guarantee, if you owe, let's say it's $10,000 in negative that they hit you with afterwards and they're chasing you for that $10,000, there's a good chance that if you come up with $2,000 or $3,000, that you can settle with them and make the whole thing go away. You'll still have the dings on your credit, but they won't be suing you and garnish your wages. But sometimes it's going to take a little bit of time. They're going to be mailing you, calling you, and every single time you're going to have to tell them the truth, which is, I don't have the money. I can probably give you $3,000. I could probably borrow $1,000 and come up with $2,000 and negotiate that debt with you, but I would want a full release of that debt completely. And until you get it in writing, you don't send them any money for that. Once it goes to a third-party collection company, the collection company is going to be very likely to want to negotiate with you and collect something, because they oftentimes have either been contracted by the lender or they have bought that debt for pennies on the dollar, in which case whatever they get is better than whatever is much better than what they paid for it. So if they bought it for 10 cents on the dollar, they might totally take 25% of what you owe. This is all stuff that's available online. It's stuff that I did. I went through it. I lived it. I got serious about it. I downright got militaristic about it when I was going down, and I decided that I'm going to get mad and I'm going to resolve the issues in 2007 and 8. And those of you who say, oh, I can't believe you let that happen to you. Billionaires became millionaires. Millionaires became 100,000aires. 100,000aires became broke. And I got to tell you, the biggest whales on the planet were brought to their knees in 2007 and 8. And while I thought I was a pretty damn cool guy and a badass, could get through anything, I couldn't. And I learned really quick that I got to be on the phone and I got to negotiate from a position of strength and not emotion. I got to come from a position of business, and I've got to get on the phone with them and take out all the guilt that they're going to put on me. When the credit card companies were calling me, I negotiated every single one of those balances down, and every single one of them I negotiated down by thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't think a single one of them went more than 20 or 30% that I had to pay on the full balance. But Brad, you're hurting the economy. No, they were charging 30%. And guess what? The credit card companies are the reasons why the means test was created when it comes to bankruptcy, which created a situation where the vast majority of people out there working a regular job who get themselves in trouble will never qualify to be able to go bankrupt, meaning they are literally in a euphemistic, let's call it a debtor's prison, but only on house arrest, because they can't escape the debt. And now they've got banks and lenders, credit card companies coming after their paychecks, garnishing their wages, levying their bank accounts and all that stuff. And there's no bankruptcy. Oh, but Brad, they can go Chapter 13, in which case it's no different than if they just negotiated the debt and made payments anyways. It's just still going to be painful. But that can help them keep their car temporarily. It's still going to come to roost at some point, so you might as well pull the trigger and figure it out. But at a certain point, you're going to do what I did. You're going to get a binder, and you're going to pull your credit report, and you're going to look at everything you owe, and then you're going to start taking notes and calling as you're working and throwing a little bit money at it to get each one of those things settled and knocked down before anybody gets a chance to take you to court and sue you. I did have a couple sue me, and I simply sued them back. And you can talk trash about me here, but I have a great attorney, and he's a friend, and I wasn't going to play the games when these collection companies were harassing me, and they broke every law in the book when they did, and I took advantage of that opportunity and sued them back for breaking the Fair Credit Collection Practices Act, whatever the hell the name is, and got them to pay me and my attorney money, in which case I turned around and used that money to pay them off. I'm telling you, it is a war when this is happening to you, but you can't let it melt you down. You can't get on your hands and knees and figure that it's over and then decide that you're going to leave this planet because you can't get through it. This is just business for them. Every single one of them collected massive amounts of interest from you, massive amounts of interest. Look at the billions of dollars in profits these companies make. I would never say to do it intentionally, but if you get yourself hemmed up in this situation, just know the system was designed completely to put you in that bad situation. The credit card companies start hitting you the second you go to college. The day you show up to college, they start giving you credit applications. When I joined the military, the second I showed up at my permanent base, they started hitting me with credit card applications. Everywhere I went on base, it was military guy credit card, get your first credit card. They want to suck you in 0% interest for the first year, knowing that they're just simply going to keep raising your limit until you get yourself so wrapped up that you'll never be able to pay that off. And you're going to suck your minimum payments out of you, which are 100% interest for the next 15 years. And they're going to show these massive profits to Wall Street. And then rich people are going to get richer. And I love rich people. I have no problem with rich people. I love capitalism. But I know that when the system is designed to beat you down, and if you don't pay attention, you didn't get great financial literacy growing up, even if you did, this is too big of a power structure. You just think about walking into a car dealership it's a $20 million beautiful palace of a building on several acres, giant, beautiful, showrooms with tons of beautiful cars on them and guys walking around in suits and ties, and an entire system designed to put you through a funnel and a process to confuse you so much that you lose that negotiation battle and put yourself in a financial situation in a moment of weakness where you just do nothing but picture yourself driving down the street in that really new Dodge Challenger and showing off to all your friends who don't care anyways and will simply wish ill on you the second they see you doing better than them, and you're probably really not doing any better than them. I've said one of the greatest things that can happen to young people is if they screw up their credit just a little bit early. That way nobody gives them any credit card debt. That way they can't go out there and get themselves in trouble. That way they're forced into buying cheaper cars. Because if you have great credit when you're young, it's likely you're going to end up using it. And every time you turn around, you go buy a couch, they're going to say, would you like to finance it? I mean, I know it's $1,700, but you can get the one you really want that's $2,500 with zero money down, zero interest for a year, and you just fill out this paper, and then it'll be delivered to your house. As a matter of fact, no payments for 1 year, no payments for 6 months. This is a trap. This is nothing more than a trap to get you in debt, to put you in a position where they own you, and the only way out is to go bankrupt. But then the lobbyists, credit card companies, got the laws changed to where going bankrupt is nearly impossible if you make any reasonable amount of money at a job. So when you're in debt, you're just stuck. So here's the deal. Be smart. If you're not there yet, don't get in credit card debt. Make sure your income is strong enough and stable enough to be able to afford that payment for a long period. Don't stretch yourself. Don't look to show off for your friends. I've made all these mistakes, and hell, probably made a few recently. I mean, no, I did good. The Lamborghini, I mean, I have $70,000 in equity in that Lamborghini, and it's just, it would take a full collapse of that market for me to even be in a position where break even. So, I think I've made much better decisions now. But for example, my Challenger, I'm upside down on that. But if I'm 10,000 upside down on that, and let's say I have, I don't know, 7 figures of cash accessible, then I'm okay. Like, I'm not gonna be in a bad spot. But if you're 25 years old and you're $10,000 upside down and you've got $36,000 in credit card debt, now you want to get married, and then you meet some girl you love, and you owe it to her to tell her, by the way, I'm 10 grand upside down on my car, I'm $36,000 in debt. The second you marry me, you're going to be worse off than you were before you got married to me. Like, that's the world we're literally talking about. And guys, ask the girls the same thing, because especially if they went to college. How about this? Student loan debt. Some of you guys are telling me you're in student loan debt. For all of you that aren't there yet, this is going to be controversial. Some of you are going to hate this, but my kid will never have student loan debt. I will sell my Lamborghini. I will literally sell everything I have. I will empty my 401k out, and I will choose to eat cat food as a senior citizen before I let her take on hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt. Because here's how this goes nowadays. Every parent feels like they're letting their child and their family down if they don't send you to college. But then they help you, and they help you fill out the paperwork, and you get a student loan. They borrow some money, and the next thing you know, you're going through school. You still don't know exactly what you want to do. Maybe you do figure out what you want to do along the way, and that thing that you decide you want to do is only going to pay you $50,000 a year when you get out of college. Yet now you've got a $1,750 student loan payment, and you net $1,100 every 2 weeks, or maybe $1,500 every 2 weeks. And now you're stuck moving back into your parents' home, and if that's even an option, or you're living with a bunch of roommates, but you've got a 10, 15 year freaking loan on this on college that got you a $50,000 a year job. But Brad, it's, I want to make $150,000 someday. That's cool. You know how long that takes? That takes 5, 10, 15 years of hustling hard, outworking everybody around you. Those jobs don't come easy. You want to make $100, $150, $200, $300,000, you're going to have to work harder than anybody. The problem is even starting your own business or working one of those jobs, it's hard for you to leave the security of a steady paycheck when you're stuck in debt that you have to pay every single month. So you become you get more risk averse, meaning you're not going to take chances that would probably put you in a position to be able to earn lots and lots of money and pay that loan off because you're scared. And now you've got obligations. And then you end up with a spouse and a family and kids and everything else, and you're stuck with $1,700 payment. And now imagine if your wife that you meet, who went to college as well, comes to the relationship with another $1,700 in payments. Now you've got, $3,200, $3,400 in monthly payments to pay for your college, and each of you are making $50,000 to $60,000 a year. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to say college is a scam. I'm not going to go that far. But I'll tell you, unless you know what you want to do, and you know that thing that you want to do is going to pay you lots and lots of money, then don't take student loans. Don't. Figure it out. Go be a carpenter. Go be a plumber. They say but we've been reading a bunch of articles. They say those jobs are going to be the jobs that are going to be paying the most money, because guess who can't do those jobs? Guess who can't build a house? It's AI. AI can't build a house. AI can't go plunge a toilet. AI can't go repipe a house. So here's the deal. Go work with your hands. Do something, but just be smart when it comes to student loan debt. So this is not saying don't go to college. If you can, just don't get into debt. And every time you turn around, for you young people, don't get into debt. And if you are in a debt, figure out how quickly you could hit the reset button. If you have to go BK, go for it, but get out of that debt. And if that means ruining your credit for a 6-month period to negotiate all those balances down and unravel yourself from it, then just do it and get out of it and start all over. For you older folks, it's tough because I've gotten some of those emails. Brad, I'm 57 years old and I got myself in this position. And look, I'm not going to judge you either. It happens. It happens. Again, the world's designed to get us in trouble. And sometimes we think we'll just kick that can down the road a little bit longer, put some more stuff on that credit card, get another credit card, and before you know it, you're $100,000+ in debt. And I'll tell you, unless you take action, do something, and it's going to be some serious, aggressive, and violent decision-making to be able to go after that stuff and get rid of it, you're going to be in it for the rest of your lives. So I spent a bunch of time with the guy on the phone yesterday, another friend of mine, and he's got a bunch of tax debt that's hanging around his neck. And I said, look, it's 3 years old. It's older than 3 years old, and it's $130,000, $140,000, and you don't have a bunch of other debt. There is an exclusion that if you find the right attorney, even though you won't pass the means test, where you're going to be able to bankrupt all that and start all over, because the minimum payments you're paying against the penalties and interest, you will never, ever pay it off. So he is on the cusp of being completely freed up. He's in his late 50s, maybe early 60s, and be able to have the rest of his life without having to worry about that. But Brad, you're teaching people irresponsible behaviors. No, I'm trying to save people from making bad decisions that would change the course of their life forever. And if you are in this position, get it fixed. You can still email me, ocmotivator@gmail.com. I will help. I will give you advice. I will share the best I can. And you're not going to like a lot of the things I tell you to do. They're going to be completely against what you've been told your whole life by your parents, by families, friends. Online, you've read that if you file bankruptcy, you have a mark against you, a red mark against you the rest of your life. It's not the case. Within about 30, 45 days after you discharge from a bankruptcy, every credit card company in the world is going to be trying to get you to dig yourself right back in the hole. Every car loan company in the world is going to want you because you can't go bankrupt again for 7, 10 years, whatever the hell it is. So they know that you have to pay them. And if you default on them, you have to pay them. You have no way out in that situation. So it's not the end of the world. It is It is something we have in this country that is available when these bad things happen. Now, credit card companies wanted to say, well, it was only meant for when people have health issues or massive job losses events, not people that were irresponsible. Here's my deal. Irresponsible's hitting an 18-year-old kid first day on the college campus and telling him, you want to finance your books? Here's a credit card from ABC credit card company with no interest for a year. And the kid puts $900 of credit card stuff on there, of books and stuff on there, and then uses it to pay for gas and food and everything for the next year, racks a balance up to $3,000 and figures it's no big deal. I have no interest, no payments for a year. And the next thing you know, the payments start coming in and his life gets started and he's stuck in that credit card debt. Doesn't have any way of accumulating enough cash to pay it off. So should he have known better? Should that 18-year-old kid that literally was considered not old enough to vote 2 days before, now all of a sudden they should have known about financial literacy to that level? This video is going to be 2 hours long if I keep talking, and it's probably going to be controversial, and some of you are going to talk some trash, but I hope this helps some of you. Take action, step up, email me if you want. I will get to those emails. It just takes some time sometimes, and I will help you. And if you need to get out of that car, get out of that car, give the car back, negotiate the balance down. You'll always be able to settle it. I'll tell you right now, I don't know any circumstance. I mean, I don't want to give anybody false hope, but almost 100% of the time, if it's a $10,000 balance, you screw with them long enough, they're going to take $2,000 or $3,000 and cut you loose. So that's what I shared with you all today, and I don't even know if I'm uploading this video. But if I do, I hope it helps somebody. I hope it helps somebody out there that's in a tough position. I hope it helps somebody who thinks there's no way out and they're painted in a corner. And by the way, let's just unabashedly get up and tell your family the situation you're in. Tell your spouse the situation you're in. Tell your friends the situation you're in, and tell them you want nothing from them but emotional support and advice. And tell them you don't want any money because you're not going to take them down with you, because you're going down financially. But you're not going down spiritually. You're not going down physically. You've got your health. You've got everything. You got your mind. You're good to go. But you got to solve this stuff. But tell everybody, talk about it, talk it through. You're going to find out that there's no ridicule. So many have gone through it. I had one guy tell me when I was going down in flames on my house that I was buried in and all that stuff. He's 20 years older than me, and he says, Brad, I literally foreclosed 16 homes when I was your age. 16 homes in one of the recessions. And imagine that one. They were coming at me from every direction. I was like, 16? She's like, I got one. Thank goodness I never foreclosed. I was able to short sale the house and get out from underneath it. But nonetheless, when he said that to me, I thought, and you're wealthy now. I mean, you're by definition rich. You have no problems. You've got beautiful home paid for and cars paid for and make a ton of money. Everything's great. He's like, yeah. People fall, people trip. That's part of life. In the end, we're all going to end up in the same freaking place. Same place. Freaking box. So don't let it ruin the time that you're here. God bless you all. Thank you for watching my channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Please go like, please go subscribe. Talk to you later.